45 years, as long as I've been a member of the volunteer fire department. I've been in the concrete business, the concrete block business, and I've worked for a cement company selling cement for the last 17 years. So I've dealt on a lot of public schools in my 45-year career history, as long as being the volunteer fire chief. I've been a volunteer firefighter for 45 years and have been fire chief for the last 28 years. Our little community of 600 people, we furnish fire protection to 3 townships in rural Hocking County and 1 township in Vinton County with 154 square miles of area and 4,500 residents. That increases during the summer months with rental cabins in those 4 townships to 5,000 to 6,000 people, and with the Hocking Hills, Old Man's Cave area, that's in our fire protection area. A lot of people don't know where Laurelville is, but everybody knows where Old Man's Cave is located. We do have a main station in town. We operate 3 substations with 11 fire apparatus. Most rural firefighting volunteer fire departments in the state of Ohio cover 1 township of 36 square miles or less. We cover 4. 2 of these substations we opened in 1996 with a local property owner giving us a pole barn, which we converted into a fire station that houses 3 pieces of equipment, and we have another substation in Eagle Township. Trustees gave us a bay in their building, which we have an engine located there. This substation is 20 minutes away from our main station in Laurelville, located in Eagle Township, Benton County. Without the use of these 2 buildings, we would still be answering fire calls from 1 main station in Laurelville. We were trying to build a new fire station with our fire department for the village, and our current station was built in the mid-1950s, and they added 2 more bays were added to it in 1968. Our meeting room consists of a room above the town council's chambers that we remodeled, and we can seat about 20 volunteer firefighters in that area for training. When we have a meeting or a training, we usually have to move a truck out of one of the bays, so the 4 bays downstairs in the main station, hold training in that truck bay to have room for the 45 members. We are currently working with WDC Group in Springfield for the design of the new station, which I have been working on my computer, and my wife's threatened to divorce me. And I put a budget together over the last 10 years of $750,000 to build a 6,000 square foot structure. It's a plain 60-foot wide, 100-foot long building. That cost comes out to $125 a square foot. We advertised for an architect. I wanted to build a clear span steel structure, but the architect is telling me that since we're going to be using tax dollars collected from the fire levies, not sales tax, collected from the fire levies, we will have to pay prevailing wage for the construction. But in order to cut costs, we're going to have to bid a post-frame construction building. This is still going to have 7 bays and 5 bay doors. I had not anticipated until now this alone is going to drive up the cost of the construction 30 to 40%, which will be putting the building beyond what we can afford at the $750,000. Their construction cost was given to the village on 3/3/13/17. The estimated pricing was $1,078,000, which is $180 a square foot. We built our 3rd substation in 2013, which was a 40 by 40 concrete block building in the north end of one of our townships to give those residents quicker response when they are in need of the department. We built the structure for $109,650, or $68.50 a square foot. The 5 acres of ground that sets on was donated by a local area there by Holiday Industries. No questions asked. I asked the gentleman for a piece of property. He gave it to me free of charge, 5 acres. The additional cost of prevailing wage will cost my department $300,000, which is a brand new fire truck for us. We don't buy the $500,000 trucks the city of Cleveland, city of Columbus, city of Cincinnati buys. 2013, we purchased a 2014 first responder engine, Pierce Manufacturing, with a 1,250 gallon pump, 1,250 gallon of water. And we are in the 4th year of a 6-year payback program. And with interest paid back to the bank, this truck's going to cost us $266,000 time we have to pay for. It takes us 6 years to pay for. I'm sorry, but I'm from the old school that when you're spending taxpayers' money, you should get the most bang for a buck. A person driving a nail or wiring a building should work for their everyday wage. I'm not talking less wages, for their everyday wage. And we should not have to pay additional money for that service. School construction is exempt, so why is not all public service agencies that is trying to survive get the same reduction in kind and not have to pay prevailing wage? If we cannot get some sort of exemption or extra funding, we cannot build the new station in Laurelville. We are already having our residents pay 2 meals and a fire levy to operate the 4 stations and 11 pieces of apparatus, and not paying the 45 volunteers we have on our department that answer the call when needed. I know there are a lot of other volunteer fire departments across this great state struggling to make ends meet, so help us help ourselves and change the law. We need the law to allow local taxpayers' money not to be wasted in wages and get the most of all dollars spent on public safety buildings. Thank you, Chairman Young and members of the committee, for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions from the committee at this time.
Your testimony was excellent,
Thank you.
and I think every base was covered. So
I hope they did
You're
get
up to
the
those.
copy of the budget wage I sent in email so that all people could have that. So,
oh, yes, ranking member Laporte.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony,
Thank you.
and thank you for the work that you do, protecting your neighbors. There's a couple things. Do you think that if we had more of our local government funds returned to our communities, that we would be able to, that you wouldn't be in this position?
Probably so. But here again, with fewer people working, there's fewer taxes being paid and fewer monies for the governments to operate on.
Two, when people are making a decent wage, they're paying into their taxes, the tax dollars come back to the community and support it. And I understand why people get frustrated. My concern also is that what stops somebody from being from out of state, an illegal alien, someone who's not even an American, coming in and underbidding these projects, and a project where you need to make sure to ensure that the codes are right, the safety's in place, because people's lives will depend on this structure in the end.
That's why you hire a good architect, construction manager, to make sure they meet the guidelines that are set by the state of Ohio and the bonding companies. And like I said, we're not asking for a cheaper wage. If prevailing wage exists, small communities like Laurelville are just paying more money out that we could use $300,000 to buy a brand new fire truck. Companies, non-union companies, will bid jobs for prevailing wage. Those companies, in my opinion, in 45 years in the construction industry, are going to make more money than the union contractor, because the union contractors' employees have to pay union dues, or that prevailing wage does pay their benefits. And that was a question that Representative Kelly asked earlier. The prevailing wage does involve paying the union workers benefits. So if a non-union contractor bids that job at prevailing wage and gets it, his employees are going to put more money in their pocket than what the union people are. And I'm not against either one. I've been in the union, been around the union. I was a member of operating engineers for 20 years. I just think it's reality to allow the local communities that struggle with budgets and no money to make that decision. If they want to bid their building that they're wanting to build, prevailing wage or not, it should be a local choice. That's the only way they can save money.
Thank you. Thank you for your endurance. Hanging in there. I agree with you. We need to get our local government funds to return to our communities instead of taking it out on our workers. And there will be no incentive for people to go to apprentice programs and that are accredited and have quality workers. It becomes a cycle where we're I guess that's more of a statement. I'm sorry. I disagree with you.
Representative.
Mr. Chair, Representative Craig, I think legitimate contractors in the state of Ohio or from out of state contractors have been coming into the state of Ohio doing work since as long as I can remember. And I could never understand that. Why can a company come from Michigan or California or Texas to Ohio and do a job cheaper than the company that's here? I never understood that. Prevailing wage hasn't stopped that. But being able to let the local community get the most money spent for that dollar they collect from the taxpayers, to me, is the best resolve that they have now. And to wait for that money to trickle down back from the government, I don't think it's going to happen.
Representative West.
Thank you so much for your testimony. I appreciate your testimony. You said, and you come from the old school, and I think my mother must have went to the same school because I heard that statement before, you should get the most bang for your buck.
Yep.
Right? But under this circumstances, with prevailing wage, or the person that actually is trained to do the job, that perform well, that gets paid more money to do the job, wouldn't you think you would have the more bang for the buck because you actually got somebody there that's qualified and not somebody that just comes in willy-nilly and got low bid?
Mr. Chair, Representative West, I forget to do that. I'm sorry.
That's
You're doing fine.
45 years in the construction industry, I'm going to take my fire chief's hat off.
Uh-oh, no, you can't do that.
And you see, when schools first went to the non-prevailing wage in construction, and the Ohio Schools Facility Commission was formed in order to run that whole program, in my personal opinion, in 14 years, 12 years of selling concrete, ready-mix concrete, and 14 years of selling concrete block, the school construction went down in quality of work. And I really think the construction managers were not doing their job, making sure the masons that were getting paid wages, good wages, to do that type of work. It didn't get any better. And the prevailing wage, and even today, with not prevailing wage in the schools, and as long as the construction manager does his job, the quality of the schoolwork has come up. And with the turn in the economy, there's been a lot of mason contractors who went out of business in the last 10 years because there was no work. And I guess the cycle in this country has been in the past, if the commercial work didn't happen, the residential picked it up. But that was a slide where everything went down. Residential wasn't there, commercial work wasn't there. We couldn't afford to build prisons because the federal government didn't have any money to give us to keep things going. But when the downfall, I think of that in training, and I think the non-union, whether it's prevailing wage or not, those legitimate contractors are going to have the same shop, the apprentice program, that whether it's a prevailing wage job or not. And I've had some other contractors say that they feel getting treated unfairly with the union trade on a prevailing wage job because he said there's some sort of thing they put back in their coffers to where they can take $50,000 off of a bid on a project and they'll pick that up down the road somehow. How that happens, I don't know, but I had an electrical contractor tell me that on a project. And to me, that should have been done. I thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you.